So epiphora we have seen has a lot of causes, and most important them in the pediatric age group remains a congenital NLD block. So what I'll be doing, I'll be focusing on the non-surgical management part of it, the conservative management and the probing, which remains the most important treatment in this patient. So causes of NLD obstruction, as already been highlighted, could be anywhere in the NLD nasolacrimal duct, but most commonly we see it at the lower end of the NLD, and the most common cause is a membrane which is present and which is imperforated birth, which give rise to this blockage. Other than that, there can be bony obstructions also, or any other nasal pathology like intranasal cyst or some developmental abnormality of the nose which can give rise to this block. Looking at the management outline, this is briefly what is followed mostly. In small children less than a year old, we try conservative management. More than 1 year, if the block still remains, we try a diagnostic as well as a therapeutic syringing and probing. If the probing fails, then a repeat probing can be done in this patient, plus or minus an intubation. And if multiple probings are failing, then those are the candidates for surgical dacryocysto-rhinostomy, basically. Unlike many oculoplasty disorder, in fact most of the oculoplasty problems where surgery remains the treatment of choice, CNLD is one situation where non-surgical management or conservative management, if done properly, is effective in more than 90% of the cases. So I'll be stressing first, focusing on that part of it. Conservative management essentially means doing a lacrimal sac massage along with installation of probably antibiotic drops. So the Krigler's method of massage is the one which is traditionally followed. What is done here, basically we put a lubricated forefinger over the lacrimal sac area, just inside the anterior lacrimal crest, below the medial canthal tendon, and gently stroke it downwards, giving a firm pressure inside the over the sac. And this can be combined before or after the massage. We can install some antibiotic drops, or before it can be done, so that the drops goes into the sac, and while you are doing the massage, the pressure which builds up inside the sac forces open the membranous block. So this massage, provided it's done in a proper way, is effective in many cases, and usually it's the membranous sort of block which can open up just by a conservative management. A few practical tips while doing the massage. Most common cause of failure of massage is if it is not done properly. Most of the time when the patient comes back with a non-resolving CNLD and you ask the mother, just show me how it is being done. Most of the time what they show is some stroking over the nasal wall, lateral nasal wall over the bone. So obviously it's not going to be effective. So when you are advising lacrimal sac massage, it's important to demonstrate the technique on the mother's nose or whoever is taking care of the kid, so that they understand where exactly to put the finger and how much pressure exactly is to be given. And also you recheck whether they have understood it properly by making the massage, making them do it on the child in front of you. So if you're sure that they're doing it properly, then you can continue the massage till the child is at least about 1 year old or so. And literature say more than 90% of them resolve if it's being done properly. Suppose the opening block is not opening up even by doing a massage, the next step to go is a therapeutic probing, diagnostic or a therapeutic probing. Usually it's done after 1 year because we give some time for the things to resolve on their own. But there are certain situations where probing might have to be done a little early. For example, if the small child, for example, this kid has a bilateral acute dacryocystitis. If the patient is getting recurrent acute dacryocystitis with say abscess or fistula formation, which can burst and give rise to a lot of skin scarring and a permanent fistula later on. So in these situations, we can go ahead with massage a little early, even before 1 year of age. Another indication probably a congenital dacryocystocele or amniontocele, which most of the time do not resolve, and there is a possibility of getting it infected. So those are another situations where we can do an early probing. Thirdly, if the patient has certain other coexisting things, say for example if the patient is waiting for a congenital cataract surgery, where we definitely have to relieve the source of infection before we can take up the patient for any intraocular surgery. So here again we can do the probing a little early. In all other cases we can safely wait till about an year or so. Before I go into the technique of probing, a little bit about the anesthesia. There is a lot of controversy. Earlier, people used to do it as an office procedure by holding the child as a restraint, but we usually do not prefer to do it. Our preference is to give the child general anesthesia, preferably with a laryngeal mask or an endotracheal tube with a packing, so that we can do a syringing also in the same sitting. Otherwise, if there is no mask or there is no throat packing, the fluid might go inside and the child might land up with a lot of aspiration problems. And if you are taking out the patient for a repeat probing, or if you are suspecting there could be some other cause, like you are suspecting some nasal problem or anything, it's best to do it under anesthesia in an OT setup. Size of the probe, this is the guideline. If you are doing it for a small kids, say about less than 3 months or so, then the Bowman size probe 00 or less, which is about 0.7 millimeter or so, is the best one. More than that, we go ahead with like bigger sizes. Each size is about 0.1 millimeter. Like say 00 is 0.7, single 0 is 0.8, like that. So as the child grows older, then we can start with a larger probe. More than 1 year of age, if you are doing it, usually we can safely do it with the number 1 probe. Beyond that, number 2 and number 3 is hardly used, except for like doing some maneuvers during probing. This is a small video clip showing the technique of syringing. You should have all the instruments ready with you before you start, including different sizes of the probes, different specific punctal dilators for the kids. When the child is given anesthesia, it's best to confirm your diagnosis first by doing either a Rho plus test. If a Rho plus is not coming out positive, then we can even do a syringing to confirm your diagnosis and rule out other causes of epiphora like pseudo causes, what Dr. Murthy has already mentioned. First step is to dilate the punctum using a blunt tip dilator, keeping the direction of the normal, maintaining the direction of the normal punctum. Like you put it vertically first, then rotate it horizontally, and preferable to do it from the upper punctum. After that, we do the probing with an appropriate size probe. It's a good idea to lubricate the probe using any of the antibiotic ointments which is available. So again, the direction of insertion remains the same. First vertical, then turn your probe horizontal till you reach the medial wall of the lateral wall of the nose. That's the medial wall of the sac. So you confirm the heart stop first, so that you can be sure that you are inside the sac before you turn your probe vertical. So it's horizontal, turn it vertical, and in one firm go you go inside. If it's inside the NLD in the right track, it should go in very smoothly. How to confirm it? It should lie straight over the lateral wall of the nose and in line with the trochlea if it were into the NLD. Another way to confirm that you are in the NLD is the spring back test, where when you move the probe, it just springs back to normal position. Can also confirm by putting another instrument through the nose, where you can feel the end of the probe if it has gone beyond the NLD. Withdrawal of the probe again by the same direction. First, take it out vertically, opposite direction of putting it in. And then finally, you confirm the patency by doing a syringing test. And while you are doing the syringing, the suction tube should be put in the nose, the anesthetist should put it in the nose and confirm whether the fluid is coming in the nose or whether your patency is established or not. So these are the basic steps of doing a probing. Okay. Again, few practical tips while doing the probing. If you are feeling any undue resistance while passing the probe, so it means that we are probably not in the right track. Normally, when it goes into the NLD, it's a very smooth feeling which comes. There is usually no gritting sensation. But if you are saying, getting any gritty sensations while passing the probe, that means we are probably not into the NLD and created a false track. So stop immediately, withdraw the probe and try to reinsert it in the proper direction. Second thing, usually if it's a membranous block and if you have opened it with your probe, usually you can actually hear it or feel a popping sensation. If that you feel, then you know that you are again into the right track and your opening has given away. And after doing the probing, we can leave it in place for about a couple of minutes so that the retracted ends of the membrane which you have opened up can does not join back. They can basically retract. This is again for a simple case, uncomplicated NLD block, but there are certain situations where things are not very easy. So where we have to do certain amounts of maneuvers while doing the probing. One of them is the graduated probing. Basically, these maneuvers are required if you are not getting this popping sensation, or if you are getting non-patency after doing the probing, or if you feel that while passing the probe, the NLD seems to be very tight, it's a tight obstruction which you are getting, which could be again inside the NLD or beyond the NLD, into the nose, lower end of the NLD. These first two maneuvers, the graduated probing and the re-aiming, if you are getting a tight blockage inside the NLD, where you basically increase the size of the probe. Say for example, if you are starting with 00 or single 0, you go to the next size probe and gradually try to increase in an attempt to dilate the blockage. Re-aiming is again where you are using a bigger size probe, say for example number 1 or number 2, and try to push it in a corkscrew direction. Turbinate infraction is required if the bony block is felt at the lower end of the NLD, beyond the NLD basically, if something is felt at the nose. So it's basically because of a large impacted inferior turbinate which is overlying the opening of the lower end of the NLD. So what we can do, you can use a blunt tipped periosteum elevator or even a lance spatula and try to fracture the inferior turbinate towards the nasal septum. These are usually required in older kids who has a persistent CNL2 block. Post-operatively, again we are giving them routine topical antibiotic steroid, and we ask the mother to continue the sac massage till about couple of weeks. 90% resolution again with a properly done probing, and younger the children, better is the chances of resolution. As the age increases, there are varying reports, but studies say that 50 to 80% of the kids should be, in fact, if you are not done the probing yourself first, if the patient comes to you with an persistent CNLDO where the probing has been done somewhere else, it's a good idea to repeat the probing yourself first. Or if it's an older child, if you are taking the patient for DCL surgery, we always repeat the probing on table before taking the patient for surgery, irrespective of the age of the child. Fail could be again because of bony block, non-membranous block basically, and if the technique is not properly done, NLD seems to be tight, or there are some other problems in the nose like polyps or any other craniofacial anomalies. If we have to repeat the probing, we can do it anytime after about 6 to 8 weeks after the first probing. And repeat probing is always under general anesthesia. We should be ready with an endoscope or other instruments like, for example, ready to read and terminate infraction. Or intubation, say, if required. So all these things should be ready before you are taking the patient for a second probing. Success rate is again variable results. If you are doing it just probing, about 50 to 60% has been reported in the literature, and if it's combined with intubation or other additional procedures, then about 90%, as high as 90% has been reported. I'm just touching upon it because Dr. Ramesh will be talking about the newer approaches. Intubation we usually do not do routinely, but say for example a repeat probing, if the older child, or if you're feeling a soft block into the NLD, then that is the time when you be prepared for doing an intubation. So to conclude, this is one situation where conservative management remains the mainstay of treatment, and we wait till at least about 1 year before we take up the patient for any kind of intervention, and if the probing is done appropriately, then the reported success rate can be as high as 90 to 95%. Thank you for your attention.